The fifth edition of ISO 9000 has just been released. It's strictly a vocabulary standard, but serves as the blueprint for upcoming ISO 9001 requirements. To see the intent behind this update, we have to look at the official Redline version. Notice the title change. They have deleted the word systems. Removing systems from the title is a specific editorial choice to distinguish actual management practice from routine paperwork compliance. This move pulls fundamental concepts out of the normative references and places them into Clause 4. By giving these ideas their own clause, the standard requires quality to be viewed as a strategic, behavioral culture rather than an isolated departmental checklist. This structure was built to address the specific technical and operational pressures of the digital age. It introduces 3 pillars to the quality framework: digital transformation, sustainability, and organizational resilience. Consulting tools and manuals built on the 2015 vocabulary now face a significant interpretive gap. Because these definitions establish the technical logic of the standard, they will determine the success or failure of every future audit. Ignoring this update changes how you read every existing ISO 9001 requirement, often in ways that contradict previous interpretations. Every quality management system begins with organizational context. In the 2015 edition, this was a snapshot of the business environment, a list of internal and external factors. The 2026 update redefines context as a dynamic ecosystem that actively interacts with the organization. The updated definition mandates the inclusion of technological variables, placing artificial intelligence directly into the operational context of the business. It also incorporates environmental and societal factors, bringing ESG, environmental, social, and governance, directly into the quality context.
Context is now a continuous feed of data rather than a descriptive document that is updated once a year. Practitioners must now design active, scenario-based integrations that inform executive decisions in real time. The 2026 update changes the functional direction of how we conceptualize risk. Under the 2015 baseline, risk was the effect of uncertainty on immediate goals, usually managed through basic preventative actions. Now, risk is defined by its effect on intended outcomes and is tied to a new concept: organizational resilience. This model shows the first pillar of that resilience, the proactive anticipation of systemic disruptions before they occur. The recovery curve covers the second and third pillars, guaranteeing operational continuity during the shock and institutional learning afterward. Static risk registers are insufficient for this requirement. They must evolve into dynamic disruption scenario planning. Risk management now centers on engineering the survival and adaptability of the organization in a volatile era. The update expands the definition of a process to account for digital connectivity. Processes are no longer treated as simple, linear input-to-output flowcharts. The 2026 update introduces digitally enabled processes, where activities are expected to consume and react to real-time data. Within this updated standard framework, human-AI interaction is now a formalized, recognized component of the entire quality management system. The standard classifies data as a critical organizational asset, equivalent to heavy machinery or financial capital. If an algorithm makes an automated decision within a process, that algorithm is subject to strict data governance and quality controls. Process mapping must now account for data architecture and the governance of automated algorithmic decisions. ISO 9000:2026 redefines the scope of sustainability. The requirement for sustainability now encompasses comprehensive long-term value creation across the entire organization. Quality culture is the core enabler of this sustainability, and its ownership moves from HR to top management. Measuring culture now requires evidence of behavioral integration, tracking how culture impacts actual performance, rather than simple awareness surveys. Psychological safety is now viewed as a critical indicator of whether factual data is flowing correctly through an organization. A culture of fear is a systemic risk because it prevents factual data from reaching the automated decision-making engines. Without a deeply integrated culture that protects transparent data flow, a modern digital quality system will inevitably collapse. These definitions are put into practice through the concurrent release of the ISO 19011:2026 auditing guidelines.
This transition diagram shows the shift from a risk-based approach in 2018 to the 2026 focus on digital resilience and smart auditing. The concept of audit by design positions remote and hybrid methods as default, structurally integrated practices. Auditors are now required to actively verify the authenticity and reliability of digital evidence to prevent data manipulation. Sampling printed records is no longer sufficient to verify the performance of a digitally enabled process. Auditors must possess the digital competence to evaluate AI-driven evidence and complex data architecture. It is important to note that ISO 9000:2026 does not create new ISO 9001 requirements. However, it changes how every single existing requirement is interpreted and audited. These auditing guidelines are effective immediately upon release. There is no transition period for auditors to adjust. Practitioners should immediately upgrade risk assessments to scenario planning, integrate data governance into process maps, and update quality manuals with 2026 terminology. Your proposals should now use the framework of resilient value creation to fully align with this new interpretive logic. Mastering this vocabulary is the only way to engineer organizations that are resilient and fully equipped for the digital age.